You were going to say something. You said you wanted to talk about the meditation the other night.
Okay, so for those who don't know, who aren't really in the Fearless family, Frank Castle had a meditation on Sunday, June 2nd. And there was one yesterday too, but I missed it. But the one on Sunday was really interesting. It was short. And of course, Frank was, he started out by going on a 20-minute rant about everything, which I always love. It's always incredibly entertaining. Yeah. And we got into the meditation. This was really, really funny to me. And I'm still tripping about it a little bit, So when everybody, I assume everybody closed their eyes and was meditating, and I was, but I closed my eyes and I started meditating, and he started the drums and everything. And at one point, it was about 2-3 minutes into the first song, where I got a thought in my head, like, I wonder what Frank's doing right now, because he's on the camera, right? So like, I opened my eyes just a little bit, like a little crack, and I could see him with his arms stretched out. He was blowing energy out, but that only happened for a second. But then this happened. So he's blowing out this energy, and then he comes back and he goes, I see you.
I know.
And then put his hand over his heart, and I smiled, and I closed my eyes, and I was like, I swear he saw me. Because I opened my eyes at that exact moment, and then all of a sudden he's going, I see you.
Yes, I did the same thing, and I went like this back, and I went like this back to him.
That's so funny. And that's the only time you opened your eyes?
Yes.
Wow.
And I had this. I had my crystal wand, nice. And I was doing this on the front screen to him, and nice. It was so synchronistic, Holly. I felt the exact same way.
That is so funny. We are so connected, Lorene.
I know.
That's amazing. And then, okay, so at the end, when he's wrapping everything up, I had another moment. And Holly, and I looked up at that moment when I heard my name, and he went,
right?
And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah.
Oh my
like, what
God,
is going
on? So funny.
Yeah. That was the weirdest synchronous. So Frank, if you're watching this, thank you, because I'm still tripping a little bit over that. I thought that was hilarious.
I know.
But I swear the dude could see me.
Exactly how I felt. I was like, he can see me, and how is that possible?
Yeah.
My energy level went skyrocketed. I didn't get to sleep that night till 3.
Wow.
I was up, and because I was purging.
Oh.
I started purging right after.
Like throwing up?
It was kind of both ends.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it was like a cleanse. Like, it was the weirdest thing, and I didn't tell him. I was on the phone with him yesterday for, I think, over an hour. And that's the first time we ever connected like that. Because
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I had to ask him some stuff. I was worried about Jimmy. And so I asked him, is there anything else that I'll leave my number? And he ended up calling.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I didn't tell him that I purged after that one. I should have. I wanted to, but we were in such a deep conversation about other things that it didn't even click. Yeah. But I wanted to tell him, but he'll hear this and he'll know. Yeah. But I did.
It's like after our conversations, after the show, a couple hours will go by, and I'll go, shit, I wanted to talk about that thing, and I totally, because we just branch off however we're meant to branch off, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And everything flows perfectly. I mean, everything for a reason. And then today too, also, I was telling you earlier about all this stuff. I was supposed to have a reading with Ra today, and he had a live stream this morning, which I attended. And then a lot of weird stuff happened during his live stream, because he was walking through an area that's a sacred area, and it's got a church, like kind of like a church thing on it, and all these big statues. And he went out.
Where is he? Is he in New York?
He's in what's the name of it? It's closer to the border, to the Buffalo border, I think. You'll know it when I don't know, I can't think of it right now. But anyways, he was going through the forest, and it was a tree with a cutout. No, not actually, the kind of like rotted that way. The base of the tree had like an opening that looked like almost like a dome.
Nice.
And as he was walking towards it, he was like, oh my God, I just saw a gnome go in the tree, sit down, and disappear. Now I have to go back and watch the video because his wife saw it too, and she said he had a hat on. So he went to the opening in the tree, and he was like, oh my God, look at this, look at this. And you could see like pictures of faces on the back.
Wow.
And I said, and I typed in, put your hand in there, because I would have, the minute I would have put my hand in to feel the energy, and he's like, okay, I'll put my hand in after he read it. Yeah. He put his hand in, and he was like, oh my God, the energy he could feel.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. And I was supposed to have a reading with him after 10. It was supposed to be 10, and then he said, I have to get home, charge my phone, and then I'll get a hold of you. He got home, and he texted me or messaged me on Facebook, and he said, it'll have to be later in the day. I don't have a home. I'll explain later. And I'm like,
weird.
What happened? So I said, don't worry about it, because I had Liz coming over, and I had the show to do, and I said, we'll do it another day. Take care. Don't worry about it. But I got to get back in there at some point to see if he's messaged me back. I don't know what happened. So
weird.
Maybe
I hope they're all okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe energies followed him, and I don't know what happened, but I don't know. I'm not going to speculate, but
yeah,
I hope it's okay. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, and their baby, right?
Yeah. But shit like that. But yeah, it's a busy day, and I'm glad we're doing this because it's going to take me my mind off of some stuff. But I do got to get outside. Like I've been working outside like a dog.
Me too.
Yesterday was the first day I was actually able to wash my hair, put my makeup on, and feel better, because we were going to be doing the show yesterday, I thought. So I got ready early in the morning. I was ready to go. And I said to Bill, you know what? The first day I haven't sweat so bad that my hair was just like crazy. And because when I get out there to work, like the shovel's my best friend, man. And I transplant shit all over and then replant and blah, blah, blah. And it takes me, the one day I worked from 10 till 9 o'clock in the yard, digging shit up, moving stuff, because we had to put that pad in. I had to move all my garden in the back to other places. So it took me a few days. But yeah, but I feel good after, even though I have no pains in my body. I have my legs aren't sore, my arms aren't sore, my back isn't sore. Honest to God. And of course I'm doing the Aya every day. So I'm assuming that's what it is. I'm going to write a review, because since I've been on the Aya, since they started selling it, I have a lot to say. It's going to be a long review.
Oh, good. I can't wait to read it.
I've been watching stuff in my body, and I swear to God, I don't feel my age.
No,
I don't. And I'm able to, like, I move heavy rocks too. Like I was moving heavy rocks. Because I have rock gardens, and I have a ton of rocks back there. We collect them out in the back roads when we go out in the back roads.
Yeah.
So some of them are huge. So whatever. I mean, I like it.
Awesome. It's incredibly fulfilling to garden and put your hands in the earth and get all that healthy bacteria and positive energy, and like I feel this, like there are many days after gardening I wake up the next day and I'm quite sore, but it's a good sore. It's like it's accomplished. I made something happen. I made something beautiful. I created something.
That's the thing right there, right? And you can look at it. You stand back and look at it. You watch it blossom. You watch it. So many nice things.
I cut a ton of leaves from both of our gardens yesterday and made a nice big salad. And it was like, and half of the salad was from our garden, and the other half was like kale and Brussels that were in the fridge that we got from the grocery store. But we're getting into that territory where in like a month, everything in my salad every day is going to be from me, from my gardens.
That's amazing.
It's empowering.
And the nutrients you're going to get from that.
Yeah.
Oh, and all of the cell salts, because plants contain cell salts.
Yep.
Cell salts are what you need for certain parts of your body. Every sign has certain cell salts they should be ingesting more of, but I like to take the it's called the plasma cell salts, and it has all 12 in there, but every sign
Yes.
has 3 per sign. I have all of these documents. I have all these books. I have all these lists, and I was buying them on a regular basis. And I'll tell you what, and they're tiny. The pills,
Yeah.
they're just tiny, tiny little pills. But cell salts are important, and you get that from plants. Liz just
I would love to know which 3 would be great for me.
I'll let you know. Liz just texted me. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
She said, I'm leaving the plant now, which means she's here in the States and she'll be on her way here.
Wow.
So it'll be about 20, 30 minutes. But
Okay.
she's probably not going to stay long because she has to get back to work. So I just said okay to her. But yeah.
Plus, I mean, when you're constantly putting your hands in the dirt on and around your plants, and you're touching your plants, and you're talking to your plants, and you're around your plants, you become your plants and they become you. You know, you become one and the same. So it's like when you eat that, you're eating exactly what your body needs. You know, it's like that idea of you know, being like a locavore, someone who only eats what's in their, you know, certain kilometer or mile radius, you know, and because that's where your body is, in that locale. So eating that food is the best food to eat for you, you know.
But anyways, what were we talking about?
Well, you mentioned, we were talking about gardening, but you mentioned Life, and I had an experience. This is why we couldn't record the show last week. Is Monday I was fine, but Tuesday I woke up with horrible tooth pain, and which like seemingly came out of nowhere, and then I dealt with it for until Saturday, and Wednesday or Thursday was the worst. I think it was Wednesday that was the worst day, where I woke up and it seemed like, things are a little bit better today. But then a few hours in, all of a sudden, just this horrible, like clenching, piercing, throbbing pain, just all the right side of my face. It was my temple and my cheekbone and my upper teeth and my lower teeth and my jaw. And it was making my neck hurt. And like, it was terrible. And it's much, much better now. Obviously, I just, you know, smoke a lot of weed and hope that it, you know, and drink a lot of water and hope that it cleanses itself out. And I was doing like clove oil, and I was doing coconut oil pulling and like salt water rinses and stuff. Yeah, and lots of Reiki on the side of my face, and I was putting I read that hematite, citrine, and fluorite are good to cleanse like pain, especially in the teeth. So I was holding all 3 just up against my face for literally just hours, you know, like every day. Yeah. And so yeah, I couldn't do the show last week because I was in horrible pain, like where I hardly worked because my work is all talking, you know, so I couldn't really go into the studio and record a bunch of voiceover auditions because my face was just banging. It was awful. But I told my music partner, Matthew Demerit, about it. And he was like, well, have you tried CBD oil? And I was like, well, actually, you know, I've been wanting to buy Life for like months and months and months and months and months. But, you know, we've had all these financial issues, which are totally not happening anymore. Things have changed. But I had all these financial issues, so I was never able to get it. And then a half an hour later, he sends me the receipt that he had just bought it for me. That's so I'm still waiting for it, but it's and for some reason, even though they're just south of me, Chris and Cherie, they're in Spokane, and for some reason the package went to Frisco, California, so it went even more south and then came back up, and now it's in Canada. So at any point I could maybe get a knock on the door. And
that's your rooster I hear, right?
Yeah, that's Tiger Lily.
Okay, I'm looking around going, oh my God, Toby, because it sounded like him, like whining, and I'm like, why would he be sleeping on the carpet? But I thought it was him.
No,
well,
Tiger Lily's.
I'm glad that you got.
I'm so excited because I've been just like dying to try it, and it just never was working out, and you know, it's amazing the people that I have in my life where I just mention certain things and they go, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to help you out, you know? And it's like,
well, that's like,
it's incredible.
That's the same thing as a manifestation.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I didn't expect it, but of course I hoped for it. You know, I hoped that it would just magically show up. But yeah, it was super sweet,
Yeah,
and I can't wait.
that's definitely a manifestation, and you've been manifesting a lot.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you look back, think about it. I mean, and even Frank told me yesterday, he's like, you know, he's been manifesting, and he said
Yeah.
it's crazy because, you know, your thoughts are things. Your
Yep.
thoughts become things. That's why as soon as you get something negative that drops in,
Yep.
get the fuck rid of it
Yep.
and replace it with, you know, that that's not supposed to be there because it's not from you. Those are those messages that come in from the ethers that are negative,
Yeah.
that try to bring you down. And the minute you change that, and you know, it's a daily thing for me. It's automatic now
Yes.
because I've been doing it for so
Same.
long.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's
Yeah.
important to
Eric's
stay.
always had an issue with that, like focusing on, you know, when something is going on, well, not so much anymore, but he did, because we've been together for 11 and a half years, but for the first, like, you know, 8 years or whatever, he would instantly jump to like panic mode, where he'd be like, well, I don't want us to not have enough money for rent. I don't want us to not have enough money for this. I don't want us to not
And
be
those
together.
words,
And it's
those
like,
words are going to
but
keep
why? Exactly. Like, focus on what you want. What do you want to see? Not what do you, why are you wasting your energy on this? And I used to tell him, like, because I don't have to have these conversations so much with him anymore because he's so much better. But like, I used to say to him, imagine that you're in your home and your home is your sanctuary, and someone comes to the door and he's horrible to you. He's calling you names, he's trying to beat you up and everything. Are you going to let that dude in? No, you're going to say, get the fuck off my property, bud.
Exactly.
Right? So treat the negative thoughts the same way.
The same way.
The way that I view it is that they're coming in from, you said attachments and things like that. And I'm going to say basically the same thing, but I call it the thing, like the octopus that everyone has.
Well, that's what I said, the ethers,
you know,
the outside. Yeah.
I call that the entity,
Yeah.
the entity that is, you know, this octopus that is the umbrella of all the governments, all the religions, all the corporations, all of the horrible, poisonous, parasitical things that we have here in this realm. You know, that's the thing that has constructed all of this into place, right? That's how I see it. So, you know, I just view that as whenever a negative thought comes in, which doesn't happen very often now, I just go, that's the entity, that's not me. Fuck that thought. I don't want that thought. You know, what I want instead is probably the opposite of that thought. So I'm just,
so you can replace those words. This is a really good thing to do. Process.
Yes.
So what you're going to do is you're going to say, wouldn't it be nice if, wouldn't it be nice if, instead of saying, I don't want.
Yes.
Because the minute you say that, you're going to keep that particular thing or energy coming in.
Yeah.
So you say, wouldn't it be nice if we had the abundance we need to be comfortable in life?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if, and then add to it, but keep those words. Even just put a little thing on your fridge. Wouldn't it be nice if ... And every time you look at it, add that word in there. I do it automatically now, and those are that's a positive way, because the universe, the way it reacts to you, it reacts according to your words, what you say.
Yes.
So when you say, wouldn't it be nice, it can interact with you with abundance, instead of saying, well, they want more of that then.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give them more of the negative because that's how they're talking, right? But it'll work with you in a positive way if you speak the positive way.
And I would do that even more so present. Like, it is nice that fill in the blank. Because I always do my affirmations that way, that I already have this now. It's here, you know, and I feel like that really, I think your tactic is great too. I'm not poo-pooing your tactic.
No. You can use both.
I think it's great too.
Use both because.
Well, hey, it's a double whammy, right? I want to know your opinion, because this has come up with, you know, not to call anybody out because that's not what I'm doing, but like in Unfuckers, right? For example, like Danny has said this phrase, I do not consent, when something negative is happening.
I stopped that because I do not
Uh-huh.
So she is not doing what she's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to say, I remove
Hmm.
my consent instead of I do
Oh,
not.
interesting. That's not where I was going, but that's
Okay, yeah,
interesting.
okay.
Well, what I was gonna say is, like in the New Cage religion, even though I think there are lots of little nuggets of truth, but
Mhm.
in that essentially religion, it talks about when you're doing your affirmations and things like that, try to avoid words like, not and don't and won't and can't and all this other stuff. And one of my favorite books has been Shakti Gawain's Creative Visualization. And in it, she talks about this idea as well. And she says, if you are going to say a negative, follow it with a positive. So if it's like, um, I no longer have restless sleeps. I now sleep fitfully and deeply and become replenished and
Yeah,
rejuvenated through the sleep,
yeah,
that sort of idea. But like apparently the way that it's told is like the brain doesn't hear not. It only hears like the words that you're saying, the heavy words. You know what I mean? Like the emotionally attached words like I am fill in the blank. That word is the most important word in the sentence. What word are you going to say now? Beautiful, powerful, magical, whatever. As opposed to, I am not angry or I am not depressed or whatever. And I feel like whether that's true or not, I think it's almost like smarter for us, and maybe it's also my default setting to err on the side of positivity and optimism.
yeah,
So I prefer to say my affirmations with no knots or no's, but I like what you said about
right,
tying a knot.
right.
That's
Think about
brilliant.
that.
I
Yeah,
didn't even think of that.
yeah. I
Yeah.
learned that a while back. I the information that I've picked up and
Oh,
saved, and
jeez.
it's like pages and pages and books and books and books, and I really, even though there's so much information out of there, even the smallest of nuggets that are positive, if you can just keep some of them on a
Yeah.
daily basis in the back of your mind, because your
Yeah.
subconscious works like that too. And that thing that Aaron was reading out, Aaron, I love that, Aaron, um, reading out yesterday when he
Oh,
said,
the Declaration of Revocations.
I downloaded all of it. I have it all saved
Cool.
in my
I haven't finished watching the video yet, but I got 15 minutes in and I wrote to him and I was like, I feel for you, bud. Like I
yeah,
really do. Like
yeah,
sorry, honey. He seems like a really sweet guy who, just like
yeah,
all of us, is really sensitive and is trying to figure out how to improve himself and improve the world and help heal this great parasitical sickness that we're affronted with pretty well on
yeah.
the everyday.
But he said to listen to it with headphones while you're falling asleep, and that's true.
Yeah.
Anything you want to retain or work really well, listen
Yeah.
to it while you're falling asleep. Now, I have I told you I've been reading the books for Magenta Pixie. I got 2 more new ones.
Nice.
And there's also a whole chapter in there on contracts, past,
Good.
present, and future. And at the end of it, there's a big affirmation to say to release all of it so that you can just live in the now. And then there's other words that she uses. I don't have my books, they're on the side of my bed. And so I'm going to be posting that because we've been
Okay.
talking about contracts, and Frank and I talked about contracts yesterday because,
Cool.
yeah. So I sent Jimmy, I actually I started reading the chapter and I was recording it. And as it was finished, I sent it to him in his mail. So he has my voice, because
Nice.
there's no way that, he's not going to sit down and read that book, or like he's so busy and he's so unsure about everything right now
Yeah.
that, so me and Frank and I got into the contract thing. So along with Aaron's, I have everything saved to my Dropbox in here,
Mhm.
so I can just bring it up. Magenta Pixie, I bought all of her, I bought the mega package of
Nice.
meditations. that go with all of this. So I can just put my headphones in at night and listen to them as I'm falling asleep. But I like to be conscious for the first few times I listen. And then as I fall asleep, it's already there.
Yeah.
And then it's going to even absorb deeper. As
now
I'm
it's just reiterating.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm on that track right now too. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, it gives me peace of mind. I just don't know why. I just it's something that I'm very passionate about. Very passionate about.
We need that, and the peace of mind. And what's interesting is, you know, in talking about like the New Age religion, is there is always this it's just constantly, oh, everything is as it should be, everything is wonderful, blah blah blah, I'm not angry, I'm not sad about anything. And it's like, I totally understand recognizing things on a multi-dimensional level, because that's how I see everything now. Like, I can't see anything one way or a linear anymore. I never really totally could, but now it's even farther out into the ether. And I think that has validity on a certain level. You know, that everything is as it should be. Everything is perfect right now. We are all safe. Everything is good. But at the same time, the difference between like us and someone who only adheres to that is that we're also doing the work. And that's hard, and you will cry, and you will get angry, and you will get sick, and you will go through these upheavals and roller coasters and ups and downs and loop-de-loops, you know, and sometimes things throw you for a loop, and you have to learn. You know, I've learned at this point, because I'm not going to get too into it in the show. I'll tell you privately if you want, but Eric and I have been going through some stuff this weekend, and nothing like, you know, Eric and I are solid forever, no matter what happens. There's something so important there. That bond cannot ever be broken, because we're on a mission together. Like, and so anytime we do have like some sort of falling out for a couple hours or whatever, you know, I always find myself going, well, I know it's going to be fine. This is temporary, because we have something really special. There's some sort of magical divine glue that holds us together, and nothing can ever, you know, sever that. But when we're in those moments, you know, he has a much harder time pulling out and observing the identity of Eric, you know. And I was saying to him during all of this, I was like, you need, you know, for one reason, you keep getting triggered by this particular thing, and that's because you got to work on it. It's not because we got to ignore it and you got to not ever deal with it. It's, you know, or it's just not for you. You know, it's because you need to work on it. You need to get to a point where someone can say something to you and you never snap, right? Because you've been through all the triggers and you've healed all the triggers, and in a way you're ready for them. Right. And so I was doing the observer thing, and I was, you know, reminding him to be the observer, and that this is a trigger because it's something you got to deal with, not something you got to just throw away. And he understood that. It's just that in the moment, you know, like when things happen, immediately he gets angry or immediately he panics. And then I have to remind him and like talk him down from the proverbial ledge.
Yeah.
And
yeah, the triggers.
Yeah. And I've realized, like, what am I trying to say? When I'm going through something like that, I can pull out and be the observer and watch it for what it is and see the bigger picture. And you know, when we're talking about soul work and mastering the self and mastering emotions, you know, I think no matter what goes on in life, it doesn't even matter the shit that's happening around you or the drama you do get pulled into. What does matter is how you react to it.
Exactly.
You know, is if you freak out and you're just constantly in that freak out state, and you can't get past that. I mean, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, and which is in no way to say I'm like perfection or something, or I've got tons of work that I'm currently working on it, and it is constantly this process. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where you have to keep reminding yourself, you have to keep allowing yourself to be the observer, because it's the observer or the future self who's already been through this shit, you know, has come out the other side. who keeps reminding you that this will be okay. This will be okay. You don't need to invest emotionally or invest in the drama. It will be okay, you know.
And instead of reacting, always remember to not react, but to respond
Yes.
appropriately. If you have then you react. So
Yes.
let me tell you a good example, and this has all been
Yes.
coming back to me lately. So I went to Barbados in '86, and '85 actually, because my daughter was born in '86, and I think I got pregnant there. Anyways, because I was sick. Like I was
Yeah.
sick. We were there for 2 weeks, and I was sick almost the whole last week we were there, and I
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
sure what was wrong with me. I couldn't eat anything. I went a week without eating. That kind of sickness. Okay, so when when we went, I traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of places. So when I would go somewhere, we would put, like, I would always bring, especially if you're going to be 2 weeks, you want to bring, because you go out at night and you eat, and there was another
Yeah.
couple with, I had all my jewelry and blah blah blah, not all of it, but special pieces. And so we always kept our expensive stuff and extra money stuff in a safe behind the check-in, down where you check in, the where you would go to
The desk,
check
the lobby desk, or
the lobby.
hotel lobby.
So we had come back from being at the stalagmite caves. Like there's caves there that have stalagmites and stalactites, and they put you in a boat and you go through the waterway, the whole cave. So you're taking pictures of all these beautiful things hanging from the ceiling and coming up from the ground, and all the beautiful water inside. We had done the day doing that. We went back to our hotel. It was the Wyndham Rose there. And I showered, and my ex went down to get my jewelry because we were going out. I was laying on the bed after the shower because I felt so sick to my stomach. I knew I wasn't going to be able to eat, but I could drink like water and stuff. And where the bed was, there was a mirror in front where the dresser was. And in the mirror, you could see the door. And I heard that we're talking about reactions right now. Okay, remember? Responding or reacting. I heard the door open, and I thought it was my husband, and I didn't lock the door. And I got up, and mind you, I just got out of the shower, so I really didn't have anything on. I was just laying flat out like this in the bed, trying to feel better. There's this black dude going against the wall like this, walking against the wall, and I watched him. I watched him through the mirror. So, okay, I'm 25 years old. And you want to talk about reacting?
Yeah.
I jumped up out of bed and I chased that motherfucker down the hallway. He ran so fucking fast out of the room. And we were on the 4th floor. He went to the end of the hallway, and I was still running after him, even though he hadn't taken anything yet, but he was there to rob. He jumped off the fucking balcony. We were on the 4th floor. That's these guys down there are like monkeys.
He must have felt the lion coming after him.
Well, when he saw me, he was not expecting, right, that some chick was gonna jump out of bed. Here I am running down the hall. I had nothing on.
Awesome.
Yeah, there was nobody in the hallway, thank God. But talking about reactions now, the way I grew up, I always had to be on guard.
Me too.
Because I was being attacked at school all the time. I was being threatened. My life was threatened. They were following me home in trucks to beat me up. This kind of thing. And I was always on guard.
Yeah.
Well, at that point in my life, at 25, I had already been married, 5 years, right? Because I got married at 19. And I never really worked on any of that because at that time, this kind of stuff wasn't out. thank God, but I still have that reaction inside of me if I need it. I will go after anybody I need to, if I need to. If they're after my kids, anything, my dogs, I will be that lioness mama that they wish they never met. I will tell you that right now. That is me.
And that's where reaction is really important, is in a situation where things will be unsafe if you just sit there and don't react.
I was fearless. I was generally fearless. I was not afraid of that guy, because in my mind, bring it on, you little fucker.
That's right.
I would have, you know what? I might have died trying to put him on the ground, because I don't know if he had any weapons on him. I got shit. Like, you should never chase people like that. You don't know if they got weapons or whatever, but you know what? My mind didn't go there. My mind said to me, what the fuck are you doing in my room? Knowing you're sneaking across the wall, you know you're not supposed to be there. I was livid. And I fucking just lost it. Like, if I would have got hold of him.
Because your raw consciousness, you're a warrior goddess.
I was not going to lay down easy. I'm going to tell you that right now. And my safety for myself didn't even come into my mind. It was like, you're fucked.
No.
You're crossing a line.
See, you're revolutionary.
Something.
Yeah.
Because that will come out in me really quick. Like, if I need it, it's there. Like, and I won't get rid of it because I need it. That's my light sword.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
I have one, and I know I have one, and I've had one all my life because I've had to because living as a child, living in the home we lived in, it was constant chaos, battles, guns, all that shit. Yeah. I needed to be that person. I was the only one out of 7 kids that would react to my dad like that.
Yeah.
Like, I would generally, like, when he was going after somebody. Now, remember, my dad was an alcoholic, so when he was doing these things, he wasn't in his right mind. He wasn't sober by no means. And I always took the higher road, and my instinct was to say stuff to him to make him so angry that he would chase me out of the house, so that I knew everybody else was fine. And he couldn't run because he was out of shape alcoholic. Yeah. And I was a long distance runner for years. So I knew he could never catch me. And then when I would come back,
there's a reason you became a long distance runner, I think.
Absolutely.
It helped that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he would go back home and he'd say, what happened? What just happened? He didn't know.
Wow.
Totally didn't know what happened. So I knew I was in the clear then, because, my dad was very strict, and he didn't like it when we swore. Like, he forbid us to say the word. So how I would react to him to get him away, I'd say, you fucking son of a, don't you swear at me. Fuck, 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 fuck. And
I was the same way, Lori. It's so
his
funny.
His face turned red, and he just started chasing me. And I'm like, we're on. Let's go.
Yeah. Fearless. Growing up in the situation I did, where half of the time it was like that too. Yeah. The other half was really great. We played music, we shared a lot of jokes and played games, and but it was like, with my father, it was very Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yes. It was what my mom always said about him, that he was the charmer, and then he was just horrible, and he used to drink a lot when I was a kid. And it was the same thing with me and my sister, that he would start frothing and getting red like a rabid dog, and my sister would cower. She's 3 years younger than me, but she would cower like, don't hit me, Daddy, don't hurt me. And I'd be like, fucking bring it, big boy. Come on, let's go. And I was like 7, right? But it's like, that's instilled in us, like, that we are these fearless beings who, it's so amazing to me that of all places in the world and in the virtual world, you and I met each other and connected in a group called Fearless. Like, it couldn't be more fitting, right?
I know, but all of us there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And because what's Frank doing? He's cleaning house.
Yeah. Yes.
So, like, if you don't belong there, get the fuck out.
I've missed all the drama. Because with my tooth and stuff.
I didn't even know what was happening. I missed the first 16 minutes of that meditation. I had to go back in to find
okay.
out what he was talking about or who, and I didn't know
Yeah.
who. And then I found out, and you know what? Me and him talked about it yesterday on the phone.
Yeah.
That person did the same thing to me, but I didn't tell him
Wow.
because I didn't
Wow.
know. I just let it go. I
Yeah.
just stopped talking to them and I blocked them and I just let it go. I didn't pursue it because I knew what happened was wrong on their end. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, that tells me who this person is and what this
Yeah.
person is. And
Yeah.
this person has done it to many people in the Fearless group.
Interesting.
Prey
I've never
now.
had a negative with
Predator and
anybody.
prey.
Mm.
Predator and prey just to make money off somebody, and it's wrong.
Yeah, because he mentioned that. He mentioned a lot of that, you know,
Yep.
in the beginning of the meditation. Like, I will always share your work and stuff. And I know this to be true because every time I post my music or my art or my voiceover services, Frank shares it immediately.
Yep.
And every time I write underneath what he shared, "You are the best. You are awesome. Thank you, Frank." You know, because it means so much to me that even to just be acknowledged that someone is
Exactly.
like, "Oh, you have a thing. I'm
Exactly.
gonna keep promoting it for you." That it's just such a beautiful thing, you know.
That's what
So
it's all about.
I had no idea what he was talking about, but yeah,
All of these
you have to tell me
people-
about that later.
Yeah, I will. I got names too. All of these people deserve to be lifted up, and
Yeah.
because
Yes.
I have a sneaking suspicion that we all that live the same like childhood in a way. We all had the
Yeah.
same hurts, the same put downs, the same, you know, but because we were light beings as children,
Yeah.
all of that stuff had to happen to us.
Yes.
For us to find ourselves,
Yes.
for us to come out of our shells, for us to understand the power we have, and that's why this stuff happened to us, because it was trying to take us down. The less light in the world, the more the dark can, you know, play.
Exactly.
And yes, and that's why they're trying to destroy our children right now. These children coming in are going to be powerful. They're born with their gifts, and they don't even have to think twice or look for them because they're going to be there and they know they're there.
And hopefully they're born to parents that will honor that and value that instead of saying, "Oh, that's just your imagination," or "No, that's not real."
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. There's going to be children born into families that are going to dismiss
Yeah.
their gifts. And I'm going to tell you why, is because these parents are sleepy. You know that that run that Chris Geo does? It's almost like a commercial, and it's a little girl talking, and she says,
"Yes, the sheeple virus." Yeah.
It's so fucking true.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even though these children some of them are going to be born into families like that, that's only going to make them stronger when they wake up. It's only going to make them stronger.
My situation was interesting because I was born to a mother who was the most encouraging, cheerleadering. You can do anything. Don't ever back down. Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't be anything you want to be. You are powerful. You are beautiful. You are talented. You are wonderful. She was my biggest fan. And then my dad, who was supportive half the time, and then the other half of the time was trying to tear me down because he was so angry and so bitter about the way his life had gone, you know, and all the dreams he had cast aside, you know, that we got attacked for it, the three of us. So I grew up in a way kind of in a balanced situation because she made me stronger because she was constantly a reminder and a mirror that to never ever give up and to never lose sight of who I am and always be true to myself. And then he, on the other hand, because I had to push back so much and was constantly in a state of defense, you know, I either defended or escaped, you know, and because of that, you know, that aspect made me stronger too. So I have this really interesting, interesting dynamic that I grew up with. And let me tell you an interesting story. So when I was 11, I turned to my mom and I said, "Mom, I want to do music for the rest of my life professionally." She was like, "That's amazing. I'm totally there with you." And up until she really couldn't come with me to the studio anymore because she was in a wheelchair and all that other stuff, she was there. She was 100% there, my biggest fan. And but I was really shy. So I started doing like contests and concerts and you know, things like that. And I would get up on stage, you know, at 13, and my knees would be knocking together like this, and I'd be like, you know, like shaking when I sing. And something happened when I was 15 in school, when I was in high school, and these I was friends with a group of girls, like maybe I think it was like 7 or 8 girls. I don't know the exact number, but it was 7 or 8 girls. And we all just kind of like hung out together and ate lunch together in the caf and all that stuff. And there was a dance coming up that coming Thursday night. And in the middle of French class, one of the girls, Crystal, sent me a letter, you know, passed a letter front to me that said, "Are you going to the dance on Thursday?" And at this point, I had made up my mind that no, because music was the most important thing to me. And every time I went to a dance, I would have to spend like the next 4 or 5 days repairing my voice because I was screaming at the dance all night long, you know. And at this point, I didn't know anything proper about like proper vocal technique and proper breathing and all this other stuff that I know now, where if I do go to a club or something and I scream, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine the next day.
Right.
But at this point, that wasn't my reality. I would get very, very affected by going to dances, and it would mess up my ears and my throat and everything. So I explained that to her. I wrote back and I said, no, because, you know, it'll mess up my ears and my throat and whatever. And this group of girls got so mad at me. So she wrote me back and she said, "So what? Music is more important to you than your friends?" And I said, "Well, yes." Yeah, it's the most important thing to me. I mean, when I'm going through shit at home, you're not coming to my house and holding me. It's me putting music on and connecting with music and you know, singing, and which is one of my powers, my voice, you know, so singing, you know, that brings me back to center. That brings me to a place of calm, and it gives me hope and inspiration, you know, and you're my friend and I love you, but of course it's more important. And this whole group of girls, she turned this whole group of girls against me. And a couple days later, we were about to get on the bus, and we were waiting for all the buses to collect in this big parking lot at the high school. And I literally had a semicircle of these girls around me telling me, you know, "You can't lock yourself in the studio. We're your friends. We love you, blah, blah, blah." But it wasn't loving. It was the opposite. It was incredibly controlling. You know, they were so jealous that I knew what I wanted, that I was inspired and connected to music and all this stuff. And in
They
that
were
moment,
trying to be your distractions.
yeah, totally. And they were so jealous and so angry about this. And so for, you know, that 4 years, I was so shy on stage, and I was a little bit more timid because I went through at 11, at the same time that I started music, I started getting chubby too. So, you know, societally, that was compounding on me. And you know, I was getting record companies interested in me, but they were like, "Oh, but she's got to lose the baby fat before we'll even sign her," and shit like that. And now I'm grateful, because the record company is disgusting and I want nothing to do with it, mainstream anyway.
Everything, but
yeah, it happened for a reason. But you know, so I had these 4 years where I was incredibly timid and shy, and I didn't know how to get past this. And then this afternoon, with all these girls crowded around me, and they're all telling me that I'm wrong for wanting to live my life the way I wanted to live my life, something fucking snapped. And I said, "You know what? Fuck you, fuck you, fuck." I went off on everybody, and I was done. And from that moment on, I can get up on stage and fucking rock it, and there's no problem. I don't get up on stage like, "Oh my goodness, oh, I'm gonna be terrible." You know, and after that point, every time I would get up on stage, I would do my best, because that was the moment. That was like this turning point for me, where it was like, you just gotta be you, son. You know what I mean? You have to do you. And if you're gonna have people in your life who don't agree with it, they don't belong in your life. You know, it's not like I'm doing heroin or some shit. You know, like it's. I love music, and I'm making music.
Anybody that tries to distract you from anything that is your passion, or that you need to do for you, needs to be put in their place, like straight away.
Yeah, and that was such a nexus for me, because that was the moment where I said, I'm not taking any shit from anybody. Like at this point, I'd already been defending myself at home with my father, but you know, I hadn't allowed myself to be firm with people outside of that. And
Mm-hmm.
now that changed everything. And
Well, yeah, because once you start stepping into your power and you
yes,
know how good it feels, and you
yes,
know that your life changes because of it, because you can see the change and you can feel
yep,
the change, you won't ever stop doing that, because you have to have that. If you don't
yep,
have that, like somebody said, I can't remember who it was. Somebody said, I'm not going to get rid of my ego, and we need our ego. We do.
yeah,
Because if people say, get rid of your ego, get rid of your chakras, get rid of whatever works for you is fine. I'm not saying not to do any of those things if that's what you want to do. But I'm not getting rid of my ego. I need my
no.
ego. But I have a
No,
healthy.
I think, well, the ego has that fight and flight mentality, where it was if you ask me, I think it was the ego that jumped out and chased that dude down the hallway. It
Absolutely.
wasn't the spiritual, non-identity being that you are.
Yeah.
It was Laureen. It was
Exactly.
Laureen saying, I'm not putting up with this shit,
Exactly. And you
And
know how many times I've had to go to the schools and put a teacher in their place because they were abusing my children. Very many times I did that.
yeah,
And I'll tell you what, the school knew me, and the principal ended up being my coach from grade school that taught me long distance running and relay. I did all of that stuff. He was my coach, and she was my music teacher, so she knew me. So I had a little bit of pull there at the school. So and I was going through a divorce at the same time. So like my ex wasn't going to protect my children, because when they come home crying because the teacher abused them, I'll tell you what, I was there with bells on the next morning waiting for her to sit in her chair.
Yeah.
I did not take a back seat just because they were teachers. And I told her, I said, listen, you ever treat my child like that again? Well, she did this and she did that and she did this. And I said, you know what? That's not my child. I know my child. So who are you trying to kid?
Yeah.
And I had words with her several times, that teacher. And then I went to the principal, and me and her had a good 2-hour conversation sitting in the chair. And I told her everything we were going through. The kids were going through the process of divorce, their parents divorcing.
Yeah.
They were all out of sorts. The teacher was abusing her. And I said to her, I made sure that the principal knew that we were in a very delicate position. And I told her, I said, I'm just going to let you know that if I have to walk in here and put somebody in their place because my daughter is hurting, it's going to happen. And I don't need your permission.
Yeah. I love that you're fierce.
I
think it's fabulous.
I just think that I love it too.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I've had to, what would you say, mold it and craft it so that it was
not just fair. Unbridled crazy anger.
Fair. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was very unbridled with it growing up because I didn't know how to control the power.
Exactly.
I know now. All I have to do now sometimes is look with my eyes at somebody.
Yep.
And I think that they see it all the time.
Yeah.
Out in my look, and I've been, yeah.
It's so funny. Like it feels like almost every single time we talk, you and I find a parallel, or one of us finds a parallel to it, because it was the same thing for me when I was growing up. It was so unbridled. Like I didn't know where to put this rage at my father, and so I would just scream and cry and stamp my feet, and there was just no, and
outlet.
now I've it's the same thing that you're talking about. That I have this loving firmness, or firm lovingness, where it's like, no, you can't pass, you can't enter, it's not happening, end of story. I don't hate you, just turn around and come back.
Like Frank says, leave, unlike leave, and if you want to come back, I love you, let's shake hands and we're done and over with it. That's me too. That's me too.
Yeah, it's so important. Like it's like that saying, of seeing value in somebody who doesn't have a hard time augmenting their beliefs or their thoughts when new information comes in. you know, because people do change. You know, I've seen it myself.
Absolutely.
I've changed a crazy amount the last couple of years,
Day
the last
by
couple of months
day.
even.
Day by
Yeah.
day you change.
I'm not sure that I've met many people who don't change and who are exactly the same person that they were 10 years ago.
That's
or
because
15
they're not
years ago.
conscious.
Exactly. Exactly.
You have to be conscious of yourself and
Yeah.
everything around you in order to change, because when you see something new, you're conscious of, oh, I can replace now this with this,
Yep.
because
Yep.
this makes more sense to me now, because I grew from
Yep.
this to this.
And some people don't do that because their programming doesn't allow it. They see it and they go, nope, nope, that's not, nope.
They're not willing. They're not willing. They don't
Yeah.
want to look at anything different because they live in fear.
Yep.
Of something different.
Yep.
Again, fearless. I'm not afraid
Yeah.
to take on new information. Give it to me, please.
Right. That's
I
what
beg
we're
you to
looking
shit.
for.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really interesting because we've talked a little bit about the new age religion in this show, which is interesting. But it's a topic that keeps coming up. You know, we're talking about the ego. The new age religion is what tells you to get rid of your ego. And
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't co-opted from the beginning, it got co-opted where all of these ideas got distorted, you know, as they tend to do, right?
And I think it's there are people that get into this, just like what happened with organized religion, okay?
Yep.
There are people that start talking and start putting stuff on YouTube that are bringing this disinfo in with the other info. And just like the books, some of it's true, some of it isn't. You
Yep.
discern for yourself what works
Yep.
for you. That's why along the way, and we talked about this before, is that I unfollowed. I've been unfollowing because this isn't working for me anymore. I'm beyond that. And
Yep.
now I can see I'm beyond that. If I have to go back for some reason, let's say I've unfollowed for half a year and I just come across something that I have to read and I'm like, oh, I'm interested in that. I'll go back and read it and pick out the gems and leave the rest. It's so easy for me now. It's like a daily practice. I don't know everything and I don't want to know everything because we never will. Any lifetime, you will never know anything. You graduate in knowledge.
Yeah.
And so when you come back next time, you know, your knowledge will continue from there. I think according to getting rid of contracts and allowing this to stay with you so that you can bring it back the next time if you have to come back. I'm not coming back.
No, that's so funny. I declared that like 10 years ago. I told Eric, I'm not coming back to this realm. And I would like it if wherever I go, you join up with me, wherever that is, because I'm not.
Now listen to how interesting, it's interesting. It's interesting you say that because as a child, and I don't even know where it came from because I didn't know, I wasn't aware, but I used to say, I won't be coming back here. I won't be coming back here in the next life. How did I know that? I don't know. Maybe I'll get answers to that now that I'm speaking it out.
Yep.
But I would like to know, I must have remembered some knowledge, and I'm not sure from what lifetime, but Ra's going to be doing my reading in the next couple of days. Like I said, I got to go back in. And he gave me some little snippets of it last night. And he said, you were a nun in a past life. You were burned because you were a sorcerer.
I'm sorry, that rang really true as soon as you said you were a nun.
Isn't that funny?
I just kind of went ding, 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 ding.
So I wonder if the knowledge of being a nun in that lifetime, I would have known that there's a possibility of coming back here when I didn't know that. Consciously, I didn't know that. Unconsciously, I did because that was from another lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I'll tell you more when I get the reading.
Okay.
I'll tell you more.
I look forward to hearing it.
Me too.
Yeah. I think that would be amazing. Wow. The last couple of weeks, I think, since our last show with Sam, which was awesome, by the way. If you're watching, Sam, you got to come back, baby.
Yeah. It was a great show.
So if you hear anything, Sam, from this show that you're like, oh, I want to comment on that, keep it in mind, write it down, right? And then we'll revisit. Yeah, that was an amazing show. I loved it.
It was.
There have been just a lot of emotional stuff happening just the last couple of weeks, and I wonder if that has been other people's. I feel like that has been other people's experience, and you know, much like this, much like when, you know, we're talking about the meditation with Frank the other day, how I opened my eyes and I felt like he was signaling to me, and because I could have opened my eyes at any point, and he could have just been breathing. You know, he could have been, you know, smoking a joint. He could have been anything, right? But instead, it was immediately, I see you, you know. So, and then put his hand on his heart, and I was just like, whoa! And I smiled and I closed my eyes because I really felt like he could actually see me, just like that kind of feeling. Well, let me tell you this story. It's short. There were a few months ago that Chris Gio was doing a meditation, and it was just him, and Cherie wasn't there, and there was like maybe 35 of us in the room, and it was one of the very few times I ever caught him live. I don't catch them live very often, but I participated in the meditation, and as the meditation was happening, I felt a lot of really powerful things going on. I felt a lot of really powerful energy, a lot of golden energy. And then when I opened my eyes, he had tears just streaming down his face, and in no way conceited or egocentric way, but something said to me, this is going to sound so whatever, but hopefully people who hear it will be like, okay, Holly,
don't worry about
horrible. Okay. He was crying, and he was so affected by the meditation, and I had felt such a connection and such strength and power during that meditation, that to see him crying, I went, I did that. I created that. And I think if anything, it was all of us together creating that. But there was an element of me that was just like, I created that intensity for him. And again, in no way egocentric. You know, it's like, if I didn't, I didn't, and I don't really care one way or the other.
Like you were the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, because
maybe
consciousness is beaming into him.
Yes.
So you might have been that last part that just
maybe
felt.
It was really powerful, and I feel like in the Fearless group, you know, when you hang out with a lot of, and I need to do a little bit more, but I'm literally always like outside and working and you know, so I'm not at a computer or even my iPad very much, and I don't have a cell phone. So, you know, I'm not as virtually connected as I was years ago, because I used to be just on the internet, just on a computer, like 8-10 hours a day, like just all the time surfing. And back when I was just eating up information, right? And but I think, you know, it's like when you have a group of friends, when you hang out with them all of the time, you just start to ease into each other's frequencies, you know. So when you're not together in the physical, you know, you might all of a sudden have a feeling and call one, and she might be in the middle of crying and saying, you called me at the perfect time, I really needed to talk, or whatever. And I feel like the Fearless group is attaining that, and I'd like to participate in that a little bit more. I've been more standoffish than I would like, although not completely by choice.
That's not
because of priorities.
It's not a good word. You weren't standoffish.
No. What word would you use? Just not as available.
Don't use standoffish, because that word doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. But I've been more, my priorities have been elsewhere. So, but I would like to participate more. But I think, and I can definitely see it, because since I haven't participated as much as, say, you have, I am more in observer mode, and I'm watching all of these weird things that are going on. And it feels like, just like with a group of friends who, what's that word I'm looking for? Not coalesce, but it's like when we all tune in to the same, we're all on the same page. I feel that Fearless is like that, and that this multidimensional network has been created through Fearless. So maybe Frank did see us when we opened our eyes. Maybe he did see us. Yeah, we'll have to. Frank, did you see us?
So I think that blending energies,
yes,
blending, I think, is a good way to to, because I saw everything that you were talking about.
Mhm.
I could see it. I could see that the energies blending, and it actually brings me back to the light ship that we're building. My light ship is actually this color, or our light ship. Look at that.
Is that labradorite?
No, it's oh, maybe it is.
Beautiful.
I can't remember.
Looks like
I got
labradorite.
yeah,
That's labradorite.
okay, so this is what I see when I build my light ship, and I don't know where. I took pictures of this, and I'll send you the picture. It's beautiful.
Okay.
I had it outside because I was cleansing it, charging it, and the sun was on the corner of it, and you can see the sun in the picture. But this is how I see the light ship. This is the color of it, and again, blending energy. So I see all of our spirit bodies moving around our light ship, but in the structure of the light ship, like almost like ghosts floating. And we're inside of this. You can see us all. Our energies blending and just moving around the ship and protecting it and making it strong with our energies. Isn't that weird? That all came
wonderful.
To me and the light.
We're batteries.
It's an egg-shaped light chip, but it's a oblong egg.
Interesting.
And it's all our energies just floating inside the material of it. And then we can also go inside and be like almost like physical, but we can blend. Our energies can just flow into the ship, like it's part of us.
Right.
Like it's our.
Like we're one biological entity.
Yes, it's biological. Yes. Perfect.
That's so interesting, because that you saw it more in the ether. You saw it from that angle, and I actually saw it from more of a physical standpoint. The way that I saw the room, and I can picture it so perfectly in my head. It was very sci-fi, and and it was a gray room. It was like steel or some sort of metal, like a nice brushed gray. And we were standing, there was like maybe 15 or something of us in a half circle. It was almost like, the Gravitron at fairs and stuff, that circle. It was like someone had split, I know, it was like someone had split one in half. It was like someone had split one in half. So there was this half circle, and there weren't like belts to put us in or whatever, but there were like little indents for each body. And we were standing in these indents, and you were on my left and you were holding my left hand, and Sam was on my right and holding my right hand. And ahead of us, maybe about 20 feet, there was like a very short little dais, like just a little step up about this big. And Frank was on it, and he was walking back and forth, talking with his hands, just very
talking.
It was like he was putting on a TED talk in a way. But I was, as I was hearing his voice during the second part of the meditation, where we were building this light ship, I could see him walking back and forth on this little dais in front of us, and we're all just watching him and holding hands. And there's this futuristic city outside of these huge windows, because it was only a half circle here, and the room we were in was kind of a circle, but it expanded out, so it was actually like maybe 100 feet away, just tons of windows, just windows. And there was this futuristic city with tons of flying cars and stuff like that outside the window. So that was what I saw when we were doing the light ship work. And so I think it's really interesting that I have this really physical representation, and you have this more etheric representation.
I think, another thing that came to me last night. So I did a lot.
Puff, puff, pass.
I can't talk too loud because Christopher's home. But, right? So I got really wasted last night. And I'm laying there and I'm like, oh my God, I got to post this tomorrow. What we need to do, and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to post the picture of my labradorite. Thank you for reminding me what it was.
Of course.
Because I took such a close picture that this is all you see. You don't see nothing around it. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be the start of, because Frank said, go ahead and put your stuff in there and then we can work with it, right? So I want everybody to put their ideas of what they saw. Okay, so I'm going to put my first idea. Everybody's going to put their ideas of what they saw. And then everybody's going to take from those ideas what works for them and keep it in their mind, so that we're also taking their ideas and incorporating it into what we came up with, so that it's even more locked in, because all our energies will be in everybody's thoughts.
It's like we're all working. Yes. Like we're all working together to build a multidimensional picture.
Sharing. We're bringing in pieces of everybody's and adding them to the ship somehow. Yeah. And eventually, I think there's going to be a final outcome, because no matter what you choose, it's going to enter that ship and become what it needs to be for the ship.
And I think that would balance out all of our energies so that we meet in the same place. So then maybe what happens is when we come back and do the meditation, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger every time, because we're all seeing more of what everyone is seeing.
And it keeps getting built even stronger, even more powerful, even more radiant. And this is what all come flooding in last night. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm not getting out of bed to write this down, because I couldn't even, my eyes were so heavy from just laying there. Like, I don't even know if it was a meditation or what, but it was just coming in.
And this is what Frank was talking about, I think, in not so many words, was, you know, us coming together. You know, I love this idea of almost like, it's almost like I have one puzzle pice.
Yes.
And you have one puzzle piece, and Jimmy has one, and Josh has one, and
10, and he's got 20, and he's got 30.
And we just put them on the table and see if where they connect.
And pick out what you think your ship should look like. And eventually, like I said, these pieces will just enter the ship and become what it needs to become for the ship. Like, I saw the whole crystal grid inside.
Wonderful.
Like, because it's powered by crystals. And I saw the whole crystal grid. I saw these that were massive sizes. Yeah. Like,
when you say crystal, I see, because the way that I saw it, the knowledge that I had when in that realm, when in that space, was that this was way, way, way up, and we weren't like flying or anything. We were actually attached to like a pole that was in the ground. I guess what I could say is, like, you know, those restaurants that are really, really, really tall, and then there's a rotating room. It was like that. It was kind of like that. And so, but when you say crystals, now I envision underneath these like blushy pink, kind of rose quartzy, interestingly, almost like the bottom of our ship. Like, the mentality that I had was that when we keep progressing with this room that we're in is just going to dislodge from the pole that's holding it, and is just going to lift off.
Yes.
You know, and so now I'm starting to think that maybe all the blushy pink crystals I'm seeing are what powers the ship gravitationally, or for
just
flight,
like
or
you
whatever.
Just like you have an electrical system in your house that powers your system.
Yeah.
This is going to be, if this is an a crystal electric grid. When crystals are living beings, and everything in that ship is going to be a living thing. Yeah. And the plasma that surrounds it. And
well, that was something too, right? Is like the metal that I saw, the brushed gray metal, it felt alive. You know, it didn't feel like when you go into an office building and everything feels so fucking dead. It was just vibrating like crazy.
Everything is an entity of some type that's in that ship, and it's all going to be positive and powerful.
Yeah. Wow. I freaking love your idea of getting everybody's piece of the puzzle and seeing how it all matches up. Yeah. I love that.
So
it really. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll put it on as a, what's that word when you hit I've never done one. This will be the first time I do it. For people to, like a conversation, there's a word for it when you write something in and you hit that one, like, thoughts, like everybody's thoughts in here, like everybody gathers to that page to put their ideas in. There's a word for it. There's a button for it. Or yeah, I can't remember.
I don't know. Well, I'm sure when and if you figure it out, you'll let us know.
A discussion, like a yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it like that, so that
a dialogue.
Yes, and then so that every time somebody posts, it comes back to the top. So, you know.
Okay.
We'll
it's like a thread. You're saying like a thread.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This should have been easier for both of us, I think, finding those words.
Yeah, I had all of the terminology just fine last night, Holly. It's just not here right now. So.
Yeah, it's as soon as you start. I've definitely noticed that takes me into a somewhat different topic, but not really. In that so often I'll get ideas that I can feel multidimensionally, and I just know them immediately. It's like that whole idea of like, oh, when you meet a telepathic ET or whatever, it won't take them an hour to explain their story. It'll be a download and you'll know all of it immediately. That's how I see things when I'm going through my own personal internal process. But then if I start trying to talk about it, I don't know English anymore. I don't know what verbs are. What the fuck?
So then you go outside and you smoke a joint and you come back in and it all comes back.
Yeah, but then it's still hard to vocalize because it's like all of that amazing, beautiful stuff is happening internally, and it's so multidimensional that you can't even, because it's like visuals connected to feelings, connected to dreams, and like I don't know, is like all this psychic connections and everything. It's so hard to verbalize because it's not like I walked to the store and I bought a bag of chips. That's so linear. You can picture that, you can understand that, no problem. But if you're like, oh, I was in the light ship and this is how I was feeling and this is what I was experiencing, it's so hard to create that 360 degree and multidimensional image for somebody. It's even hard to explain that it's hard.
I know it's hard to explain, but I find the easiest things for me when I want to develop something or build something up here. The easiest thing for me to do, I'm very uncomfortable out here. Our chairs aren't up here anymore because of the deck. Is to smoke and then just let it pour in.
Yes.
Because even though I didn't have all of it before I smoked, when I do, I get answers. I get all kinds of stuff comes to me now. If I were to be smart about this and just start a pad and paper and just start writing, because I come up with the best ideas, and I had like several. My mind didn't stop last night; it just kept going and going, and I was just like, I need to write this down because I'm going to forget tomorrow morning. I did remember about the light ship because I think that was more important to me than anything. I have to remember this. I can get a thread going, and everybody can, put their 2 cents in, and I don't know. It's just something that I think.
It's so hard when you're downloading stuff, and especially when you've had some cannabis and you're feeling high and you're feeling connected and you are out of space and out of time, and it's so hard because, well, from my experience, I tend to live in the moment anyway. I don't really think about yesterday. I don't really think about what's happening tomorrow. I'm right here. I'm present. I'm engaged. But when I smoke weed, I'm even more in the moment. So in the moment, I'm dealing with all the stuff that's happening. And then later on, if I think about it, it doesn't seem as important because that's what I was dealing with then. Right? It's like so many times I come up with all these ideas like, oh, I got to talk about that on the show because Eric and I start talking about something and I get inspired and I'm just like, fuck, that's got to be a topic. But then, we do our next show and it doesn't even come up.
We talk about this, I don't know, like maybe about a week ago or something. And they said the best thing to do is get a recorder. And as soon as you get an idea or something, click it on and put it in there.
And just speak. Yeah, I need to do that.
That way, even if it's just a little bit, if you get a little bit of something, because that way when you go back to it, you can build on that. If those ideas start flowing back in again, but they're always going to be recorded. So it's like the star log, like star log from fucking is it Star Trek?
Yeah.
Star log 19.
Captain's log.
Yeah. So we'll call it fear log.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's actually a really good idea, because I find, especially when I am processing, that because my throat chakra is so prevalent and always has been, talking is the thing. This is why doing a show with you is so incredible, because when I talk to somebody and I spitball these ideas, it gives me the opportunity to hear how they sound.
I like that.
And to see if I'm married to any of these ideas or these themes or whatever. And because there's something about when I guess maybe partly because I'm so musical, and it is about, the sounds that I hear and the sounds that I make, and where a lot of my power comes from. So I think I know, okay, Eric is a very quiet dude. He doesn't talk very much. He grew up in a situation where he was repressed, nobody wanted to hear what he thought and all that other stuff. So while I've been with him, I've been slowly, like, I want to hear what you think. I tell him every day when we're talking about anything, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you feel. What do you think? What do you feel? And I wait and I wait and I wait. And he's so, it's so hard for him to open his mouth, because he didn't have, like, for me, I had the encouragement when my mother always said, speak up, always speak your truth, be yourself. And he didn't have that. He had people saying, don't be you, be what we want you to be.
They closed his throat chakra.
Expression, exactly.
Yeah.
And
you need to
get him some sodalite.
Get him a crystal for that.
Yeah, I got sodalite and kyanite.
Okay.
Yeah. And many, many other crystals. But, so he's very quiet. So what ends up happening with us is that in a conversation, I'm very yang. I'm very, sunshine, very loud, very proud, very confident, very vocal. And he's more receptive. He's like moonlight. He's soft. He's gentle. He's accepting. He's intuitive, and at the same time, I mean, we're both of those things, but we exhibit those, I exhibit the expression. He exhibits the acceptance, I guess, of the expression. So what happens is he has always been such an incredible soundboard for me that I literally can just bounce ideas off of him, and he listens to me, and then I get to hear what they sound like. So I get that all the time, which is really, really wonderful. But at the same time, what you and I do is really wonderful too, because I love that you converse back and you give me more ideas. I think he gives me ideas too, but he does them on a multidimensional level. He doesn't speak them. He thinks them or he feels them. And he does this thing, which is really strange, and I always call him out for it. And I don't mean to bust his balls, but he does this thing where, like, we're having a conversation and he'll just be kind of staring off, and then his lips, he'll just start going, and he'll just start moving his mouth like he's talking, but no sound comes out. And I'll stop and I'll go, what do you need to say? What do you need to say? Because one part of me views that as, like, he's been repressed for so long that, or not anymore, not since we've been together, but, his whole childhood. And that's so hard to get rid of.
He's got to break it.
He's got to break it. It's actually happening right now, because he's having all this drama where he works, and now he's starting to speak up and be loud and proud. And every time he comes home and he tells me these stories, and I'm like, you're such a shit disturber. I love you. Like, it's wonderful, because it's almost like right now he's going through what I went through at 15 when I told all those girls to go fuck themselves, and so that's really, really wonderful, because he's going through some changes too. But what was my point? So sometimes he'll start mumbling, and I actually think, it came to me the other day, I think he's a channeler. I think he's a natural channeler, but it's not coming out because he doesn't know how.
He doesn't trust it.
I was literally going to say, he doesn't trust himself. it's almost like there's a block between the message and him saying it. Exactly. So I think that's really interesting. And I said that to him the other day. I said, you know, I get on you about this whole thing where you mumble. You know, he doesn't mumble, he just mouths. Where you mouth when I'm talking sometimes, and I have to stop and I go, what are you trying to say? What do you want to tell me? Are you thinking something? And maybe you're moving your lips because you're thinking, you know. But I said, maybe you're actually a channeler. And maybe the more spirit work that you do and emotional work that you do, eventually at some point, you're going to open up them floodgates and just all this is just going to come right out, you know? And I don't know why I got on this topic, but I just, my long-winded way of saying I'm really grateful that he's a sounding board. And I'm really grateful that you're both a sounding board, but also you give me ideas in return.
Yeah. It's all about.
I know I don't always get to the point, but I hope it's entertaining for everybody.
It's important. I mean, just conversating in general. I mean, we weren't taught how to do it properly. We weren't taught how to, just be. There's so many programs running, and the biggest thing is to get rid of them all and start. Get rid of them all, clean slate.
Well, I mean, what happens to a computer when you've got like 20 programs open? It slows down, it breaks down,
We are a computer. That's the thing. We have programs, and we have DOS memory, and we have, so many things in our brain that works like a computer. I just read a whole chapter on it. And they do say to use the Alt-Delete button.
Yeah, that's good.
There's something that needs to go.
Control Z.
Control Alt-Delete. Control Alt-Delete. Yep. And it's important to get rid of the goddamn programs, because it's holding us back. And it's almost a virus, right, in the system.
Absolutely.
I should read that chapter. It's not very long. It's just a real short book, but lots of it's packed with information, and just record it and send it to you.
Because, I love that.
Yeah, because it's important to know that we are computers. We're biological computers, and we have the power to do what we need to do to change shit.
Yeah.
In here, and out there.
Yeah. When Eric is feeling a little like freak out, sometimes I'll say to him like, change the code, brother. Change the code. Like, let's go in and retool the system. Exactly. If you want to read it now, you can read it now.
Let me go get it.
Oh, there she goes. And for anybody wondering, we didn't do this on purpose today, both wearing pink tank tops. We did not do this. And this is not the first time we've done this. I noticed there was a show a couple of shows ago, it wasn't the one with Sam, where we both showed up with black tops, and I was, before the show, I just kind of said, like, we're wearing the same shirt, Lori, what the fuck? It's super funny, by the way, to just like talk to myself, and all I can see is Lorraine's beautiful sky and beautiful trees. How's everybody doing? Everybody who's watching the show, we appreciate you and love you. Hopefully in some way, some shape or form, we're all helping. Well, I think we are. We're all helping each other to deprogram and reprogram. And it's blowing my mind how people are coming together. I'm seeing it in my own life with a particular person who's come in, where we are just connecting on a level that isn't like, oh, we like the same things. We like the same movie or the same music or something. It's like, it's something when we look in each other's eyes, there's just this ridiculous thing. I was telling the audience, Lori, talking about the connection with eyes and how it's I'm finding lately that, well, especially like, my friend Darren that I told you about, the water guy who just showed up and everything, we have this really strange connection that spans space and time. And like, and he told me the other day, when I look in your eyes, because I like to talk to people when I like to look at people's eyes when I talk to them, and I'm the same way, that we want to engage. He said, when I look in your eyes, it trips me out, because there's something there. There's great love, and there's also like old soul stuff, and it activates something in me.
That's crazy.
And I was just like, dude, I feel exactly the same way, you know. So it's not this connection of like, oh, we like the same music, or oh, we like the same movies or some shit. It's literally like, I fucking know you beyond space and time. I knew you when we, you know, when we were something completely different, you know.
Yes.
And I was telling the audience too, we didn't plan this with the pink tank tops.
No, we didn't.
So yes, let's hear this. What is this book?
This is awareness. Oh, this is the Master's Matrix, becoming the architect of your own reality and activating the original human template. And really,
Magenta Pixie.
Yeah, and then this is the next one I'll be reading. I just got these, so.
Oh, that's great.
So this one is all affirmations and the sacred cross of creation, the Merkaba, magic and emotional alchemy. It's pretty well alchemy.
Awesome.
So she does. No, I didn't have any of these pages marked, so
that's okay. Hey, this is guerrilla and off the cuff, right?
Yes. Try to find the one. She talks about currently we are within a growth spike. This is where everything evolves in an exponential way compared to the usual evolutionary growth patterns. These spikes occur regularly every 26,000 years. And our year of 2012 was the highest point of the evolutionary spike, specifically the winter solstice of December 21st, 2012.
Yes.
We are now on the other side of that spike in a declining phase, which is actually a phase of new creation. We are standing upon a blank page and we are writing a new history for ourselves. The nine liken this to going beyond the rainbow, which they say is a metaphor in alignment with truth. These words are written here specifically to invoke higher thinking in the creative process. The expanded aspect of the self that I refer to as the nine work with the invoking imaginary within the imagery within the reader in order for expansion and the creativity of one's own reality to take place. And then she goes into the past life contracts.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Holy shit, yes. Yes to all of that.
This would be the book for you, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm down.
144 pages.
You know what I was gonna say? I was gonna ask you if it was 166 pages. So that's funny. Of course, it's another double. But okay, so she was mentioning, you know, we've talked before on the show about how it doesn't seem that events or experiences happen over long amounts of time anymore. You know, they start and they gradually build to a climax and they come back down. It takes months or even years. Now it feels like a heartbeat in a way. The way that you can visualize a heartbeat on a machine, right? Is like that bleep bleep. It's almost like start, climax, finish, and then there's a break, and then start, climax, finish. Yeah.
Later on in the book, I'm halfway done the book, but I had to go back a few pages to read some stuff to Jimmy. So I'm not done. I've got another 2 chapters to read, but I haven't heard from him. So I'm going to wait for him to read or to listen to the first recordings that I sent him, and then see if he wants, if he needs more. I think I might just send him. I don't know. Everything's like up in the air because I need to know where he's at. You know?
Yeah. Did you have more you wanted to read? Because I interrupted you. I found that. I was just like, I gotta tell you, that's totally, absolutely, yes, 100%
well, let me show you, or let me read to you the incantation, the golden arc.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Okay. So it's basically what Aaron was talking about yesterday. Okay. This is let me go back just so that you know that following your intuition regarding chakra matrix connection, emotional love, bliss patterns, and grounding talisman. One would begin the incantation on the following page or similar in one's own words or directed from one's higher self, collective, ascended master guidance system. she goes into tarot and all kinds of stuff. But okay, so this is what it says.
Okay.
I cleanse and spin my fields. Okay, so I want you to try and visualize while I'm doing this. So.
Okay.
I allow my matrix to settle within symmetry and purity throughout the dimensional scale. I project my most loving thoughts into my matrix fields. I project my highest compassion into my matrix field. I project my utmost joy into my matrix field.
Yes.
I project my 0-point bliss charge love templates into my matrix field. I stand within knowing of the golden arc running through my fields. I welcome the golden pattern. I stand within the all, beside the all, and as the all. I hold my matrix as the conductor, conducer, and creator, beaming light within a healthy, superimposed geometric wheel, so that it may carry me forward to all place and space for the highest good of my tribe, my soul, and the one true soul. I am, then you say your name.
Holly.
I am Maureen. Speak your actual name or magical working name. Then you may make your I am statement at the end of this incantation. So therefore, you have the method.
Wow.
That was the incantation for this one.
There was a couple things. She said geometric circle. Is that what she said? Mandela.
She actually explains this whole thing before this,
okay.
so that you understand that you have your own, everybody has their own matrix. We're not operating, if we don't believe we are, or if you're aware, we're not operating with one matrix. We are a matrix.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Everybody has their own matrix, and that's why I said to you before, whatever you choose to focus on, that's going to be part of your matrix, sweetie.
Totally.
So don't focus. That's their world, the governments and the structures and the fucking, that's their world. It's not mine and it's not yours unless you bring it in.
Yeah.
Then you get it.
I think a lot.
Superimpose geometric wheel.
Geometric wheel. Okay. To me, that's a mandala.
Well, yeah, and she talks about. Okay, so she does explain at the beginning of the book, so you can have a general idea while you're reading that these are all geometric patterns and shapes that you can change to click and lock in to change your reality. Yes. These are all, everything is a geometric pattern of some sort that they're puzzle pieces. And she goes into this. Your body is too. Everything, right? Everything.
Wow. She also mentioned gold.
Yes, she did.
And I told you earlier that was something that I saw during the meditation.
Of the golden arc running through my fields.
I know she spelled it ARK, but I think it's really interesting because if you think of arc, ARC, in terms of like an electrical charge, so will you read that sentence again that you just read?
I stand within knowing of the golden arc running through my fields.
Yeah, it's electricity moving through my bodies, and interesting.
Running along all of the lines of the patterns.
Okay, but when I said that just now, by the way, I got this huge buzzing start happening in my crown chakra from saying that.
Well, that must have opened up something for you.
Yeah.
But that's what it's supposed to do.
Thank you. That's amazing. We are, I was saying while you were gone, we are all deprogramming each other and reprogramming each other with positive intent instead of the malicious intent that's been put on us. Yes. And so then a couple minutes later, after you read that sentence, so you reading something to me caused a potential activation. So it's like how everything manifests as soon as we say it now. It's like a couple minutes later, it's like, oh, well, there's an example of it that Laureen is helping to deprogram me and reprogram me, just like I'm doing for you.
So this next page, she goes into each and every one of the sentences I read and explains to you what it is.
Nice.
So I allow my matrix to settle within symmetry and purity throughout the dimensional scale. One who holds a balanced and symmetrical matrix. This affects, again, the thoughts, emotions, and the physical self. One's life responds to the symmetry created by the matrix, for the matrix is a holographic replica of source itself, containing the blueprint for all and everything. That was that one sentence. And the art, it is a link to the divine Akash, a record of all that has ever happened, all that is happening now, and all that ever shall happen. Sorry, I thought that was the art.
That's okay. She reminds me, Magenta Pixie reminds me a little bit of Seven Bomar.
Yeah, very.
She's not speaking linear. She is.
No, not even speak. He speaks on many dimensions. The golden pattern. I welcome the golden pattern. This is what you were asking about.
Yeah.
This reinforces your willingness to embrace the golden frequency at the cellular level. You move into the archetype of the alchemist at this point, known also as goddess alchemy or alchemy of the gods.
Wow. There has been, I don't know about your experience, but there has been in the last couple of weeks a huge emotional, I started saying this earlier, but we got whatever. A huge emotional component to the last couple of weeks. But it's been like, I feel like you said after the meditation you were purging, and I feel like I've been purging the last few weeks because attachment and weirdnesses and things that are blockages, right?
Because of what's happening up here right now. It's causing a lot of emotional purging for a lot of people.
What do you think is happening?
The moon, everything that's connected right now, like where the planets are and their degrees. This is and the sun too. The sun is now morphing, and because we are connected to the sun, we need the sun.
Yes.
It's actually it's purging, and it's purging us. We're purging because we're connected.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going through.
Yeah.
Because Luna Ash had a 2-hour special on it, and she went into why the planets are aligned this way, and the Baktuns too, because we're at the end of the third. I think it's the third.
Right.
Bak. So yeah, and that all has something to do with it. That's what's happening, but you're conscious of it. You know that it's happening to you. People are probably in bed taking medication or going to their doctor saying there's something wrong with me. When all they have to do is just allow it to happen with no medication in your system. Just smoke some ganja and fucking
eat some mushrooms, baby.
Yes, and let it
drink some ayahuasca.
People stop their bodies from doing what the body needs to do.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's been a thing the whole time, right? I mean, I think this is one reason they try to get us vaccinated as soon as possible. Absolutely. Because it starts to break down all of that natural proclivity to be curious and to be rebellious and to challenge things and to question things. And, as soon as you start injecting and feeding horrible GMO'd foods and stuff, it just changes everything about the person. Not forever. I mean, if they go, I'm going to try something different and try to cleanse it out, I think you can cleanse anything out, just based on your intent alone. But yeah, I'm totally in agreement.
Yep.
Wow. I'm glad that we did the show today instead of last week, because
everything for a reason, and it'll happen when it's supposed to. Remember?
Yep, absolutely. It's so funny because I always knew that, but being friends with you remind me of that often, and so which is a good thing. But now I've started doing that with Eric and with Darren. Just reminding them that
it makes your life easier because it's something you don't have to worry about anymore.
Yep.
Because if it's not happening, it's not supposed to be.
Exactly. And if it does happen, it was supposed to happen.
Yes, exactly. Yep. It's telling you, it's made my life simpler, and I'm a happier person because of it, because I'm not worried about it no more. Why isn't this happening? Why? Like I used to be like that. Like years ago, I used to be that way, and now I know why. that it isn't happening because it's not supposed to right now, or you don't
It's
deserve it right now.
I think when you react like that, it's literally like a lack of knowledge of the self, and also a lack of trust in the greater process.
Yeah, but we
You
didn't
know,
even know there was a greater process out here until we started this journey. You
that's
know what I
right.
mean? Had I known this stuff years ago, my life would be so different, but I wasn't supposed to know it then. And the kids
Right.
growing up now, hey, beautiful. Oh my God.
She was holding my hand, so I wanted to show. This is Josie. Josie.
Josie and the Pussycats.
That's why I named her that.
Yeah. So that the kids growing up now and coming in now, this knowledge is out there for them straight away. They are not gonna have to go through the struggles of finding out who we are, like we had to do, or finding out who they are. They're gonna know.
Because just like with the same spirit of like, we are deprogramming each other and we are reprogramming each other, I think whenever one of us goes on this journey, it opens up doors for everyone else.
Yes.
And I was having this conversation with Eric yesterday that, you know, it's really important, and especially because it's happening right now, you know, that we do connect with others, because not just for us, it isn't just like what we can find out of that connection. It's also that we can do something for them. We can help activate things for them. We can help remind them as they're activating and reminding us, you know. And I think a disconnection also kind of does the same thing. You know, like if you meet a narcissist or know a narcissist and they cause drama in your life, however, you know, that can be an opportunity for you to deprogram something or to finally release something.
My ex was the biggest narcissist on the planet.
Yeah.
He never was like that. He became that. I watched it happen. Alcohol, drugs. He was doing coke and I didn't know. And
wow, that's too bad. But at the same time, it ended up being something that made you stronger and made you more fierce and made you more fearless. It always comes back to fearlessness.
I tell you, I had to be fearless to ask him for a divorce. You know, I had to be fearless. Yeah. And he did everything he could. Everything he could. He put me through hell from the day I asked.
Because the narcissist needs the empath way more than the empath needs the narcissist.
He didn't want me, but he didn't want anybody else to have me either.
Yeah.
And then he gave me rules to follow. He said, you can't date any of my friends. Your friends are all fucking alcoholics like you. Why would I want to?
It would just be the same thing.
That mentality of a narcissist would say something that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So many things he said were so narcissistic that it was like the me thing going on, right? Like even to the point of telling me that he never wanted children. Why didn't you say that like in the beginning? You know what I mean? Like is that why you treat them like you do? Is that why you were never home? Is that why you stayed away, because you never wanted children? And then everything was my fault. But you know what? I held down the fort, man. I raised my fucking kids. I never let them down. You know what I mean? You were never home. I was there for them. I was mom and dad and whatever else that I had to be. That was my job.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that even though they didn't have him, they had you. You know?
Yeah. I mean, he was home sometimes, but not fully. I mean, we didn't even go on vacation as a family. There had to be several of his alcoholic buddies there with us. You know what I mean? Never went anywhere. Always had to be the drinking buddies. But whatever. I mean, I let go of all that. It made me who I am today. I'll never make the same fucking mistake ever again in my life.
Right. Yeah. So it is a wonderful thing. It's like, I think that's another thing that keeps all of this emotional stuff when we're going through it in check to a certain degree, because you remember, oh, well, I've gone through emotional stuff before and I have gleaned amazing growth from it. So this is just another one of those things where 2 hours from now, 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to look back on it. I'm going to laugh and I'm going to recollect and reassess and be like, okay, well, I could see that it taught me this, you know, and maybe this has changed since.
I never have to go back and ask why anymore.
Exactly.
Ever. It's all answered for me. I know what it is, and I appreciate the fact that I know now, because fucking hilarious now that when I look back. I laughed my ass off. I'm like,
yeah,
amazing. I mean, I can say that I love it to a degree because
yes,
I have so much insight that nobody will ever be able to do that to me again. Like,
yeah.
girl.
It's like that saying, you know, sometimes you need to fight a war to realize you don't want to fight a war.
True. That's
you know, like, yeah, it's I'm really thrilled. I'm really excited actually, because I feel like even with all the emotional upheavals the last couple of weeks, and I dealt with some relationship stuff, and I dealt with some teeth issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I came out the other side of it. Now I am the future self, you know, in comparison to the chick who dealt with all that stuff, you know, and I am on the other side of it. And I feel like a lot of things have been awoken and activated, and just peeling off of more layers, you know? And like, oh, she's so sweet.
She just wants to play.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Go down to go pee, but like, come on, dude. You think this is hard? Sleeping in bed with her at night is worse.
Aww. I deal with 3 cats on me. One on the shoulder, one on my chest, and one on like my crotch or something. Just 3 cats. Hi, Lorraine.
I have to come. She's not moving.
All I see is nipples.
These nipples? Oh no.
No, hers.
I just say, oh, my boobs are hanging out again.
No, her boobs. I feel something has happened especially the last few days. I really feel like something collectively has happened. And yeah, and to have Frank do the meditation on Sunday the way he did, where he was like, it's on. Stop fucking around. It's on, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, you're totally parroting what I've already been feeling, you know?
You should see her face. I gotta show you her face. It's so funny.
Oh, honey. So happy. I love the paws up like that.
That's how she
so
sleeps.
Funny.
That's how she sleeps on the bed.
Aww.
Right on her back. It's hilarious.
That is so sweet. Josie, you see the poopy? She's just looking at me like, ugh, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Aww.
Anyways, I think we'll close it down because I got some
it feels good.
So I think that's enough for now. And I'll have more to talk about. She just grabbed Frank's live right now. Let's go.
Ah, nice.
Okay, close it out.
Okay, bye everybody. Bye, Lorraine. I love you.
I love you. Bye.